Morning, everyone. It's Friday. My name is Belinda Weaver. I am a copy coach, and I wanted to talk to you about getting unstuck. Unstuck from the editing mode, because we write and we edit, but there's this kind of purgatory where we're not hitting publish, we're not sending it over to a client. Perfectionism is front and center, and sometimes it's hard to know if we're making the copy better, we're doing the editing we should be doing, or we're getting in our own way. And this came up on a one-on-one call I had with a copywriter yesterday, and he wanted to improve his writing process because he said it's just taking me so long to finish copywriting, which means it's not profitable. So every time you take longer on a copywriting project than the time you have quoted for, your hourly rate is going down. Now, it could be because you're spending too long on admin, in which case you need systems, you need to streamline, you need templates, you need to become more efficient. But it also could mean that you are underestimating how long the writing takes and or taking too long to write. One of the resources in my Confident Copywriting group is how to write faster. And it's all about systemizing your writing process. But for this particular copywriter, he kept getting stuck in the editing zone. Now, as a copywriter, editing is the skill I've actually got better at over time, because the quality of your copywriting is actually decided in how much preparation you do. So that's research, voice of customer research, tone of voice research, even a little bit of industry or specialist topic research, but not too much. It's in mapping out the structure of the page and the key bullets, pulling in things like voice of customer research. The writing bit is the bit in the middle, and then there's the editing. And I think as my systems have developed and I've got more experience, I've spent more time on prep and more time on editing, and that kind of flush of writing in the middle is kind of the shortest stage. But it's very easy to get stuck in that writing and editing loop. And as I said, that's usually where perfectionism shows up. We think we're making the copy better, but we're actually just afraid to hand it over. Now, it might not be like afraid, but every time you read it through just one more time and you're not changing anything, that's perfectionism showing up to stop you hitting publish, to stop you sending it to the client in case it sucks. But you have to hit publish. You have to send it to a client. So I've got some ideas for you. So the first thing is take the pressure off the first draft. Let clients know that the first draft is not the final draft. You want to set the expectations with them that the first draft is so you can get an idea if you're on the right track. This is language I have in my copy deck. This draft lets me know if I'm on the right track. I want you to make sure that the information is correct. I want you to look at the concepts and themes, the pain points, the directions, see how your services are described. Is it accurate? Does it sound like you, right? We're not looking at commas, we're not looking at semicolons, we're not looking at the fine details of the word choices. We're looking at themes, concepts, accuracy. Like, that's what the first draft is all about. And when you set the expectation that that's what the first draft is all about, and that you will continue working on and refining the copy after that draft, the client doesn't expect it to be perfect, but it also means it's a lot easier for you to hand it over in this less than perfect stage. Now, of course, you want it to be like 80% there. You want to have a really good feeling about it, but there comes a point where you absolutely need the client to comment on it. You need their input. You need any direction changes or confirmations. And so for me, I always knew that was the stage I needed to hit publish when I wasn't sure if the idea was landing in the fullest way. And if it was a bit of a crazy idea, I would always talk to the client about it first, because there's no point writing thousands of words of copy on a concept that you're not sure going to land. But, when I was like, I want to make sure this is really the right direction before I spend too much more time editing. But I would also send it over when I was just fiddling around with words. just changing a word here or there, changing a sentence, changing it back. I used to call it fiddling with the deck chairs. I'm just moving the deck chairs. I'm not making any big fundamental changes anymore. So, the first tip was set the expectation that the first draft is not the perfect draft, which makes it easier to hand it over, and invite your client to give you feedback and tell them how to do that. But also recognize when you are not adding value as a copywriter anymore. That was the second thing. When you're just changing a word here and there, when you're not looking at themes, recognize when you need input and when you're not adding value on the page anymore. They're the two big ways that you can get yourself unstuck. But one of the things you need to understand is the difference between writing and editing and why you can't do them at the same time. Because when you are writing and you begin editing before you've finished writing, you are judging an unfinished piece, which certainly does not help you write better copy. You really need to be unblocked and flowing and in the zone to make that really messy, ugly first draft the best piece it can be from you to then work from and edit. So if your editing voice comes up as you're writing, you need to say, hey, editor, you're going to be awesome, but not yet. This is writer speaking, and it's my turn. Let me have my turn. And then your editor gets his or her turn later. And so if you're editing while you're writing, you're judging an unfinished piece. But also, if you are over-editing, you're burning time. You're burning time. This is something you need to think about as a copywriter, as a professional copywriter running a business. How long are you spending on each of your stages of writing? Because if you're spending a lot longer than you have quoted for, your hourly rate is going down. So each time you read it over again and again and again when you're not really even reading it, each time you fiddle-faddle with a word here and there and you're not really making it better, you're burning time. It's really important to recognize when you are in this stuck space and give yourself a hand slap. You are now burning time. You need to move forward. You either publish the blog, you publish the tweet, you send the copy to the client so you can move forward. It's a really important recognition. Now, the copywriter I was talking to in the one-on-one said, but, isn't the editing important? Don't we want to make the language as good as it can be in each case? And we talked about the beauty of very precise and subtle words that are absolutely correct. And I said, yes, absolutely. However, the question we have to ask ourselves is, are we making the copy better? Or are we just indulging ourselves? Because we're word nerds, we love it, but we are burning time. If we are just indulging ourselves and the editing we are doing does not actually make the piece better as such, then we are burning time. And sometimes we need to let go of that less than perfect piece of copy in order to be a profitable business. Now, I'm certainly not suggesting you hand over slapdash half-ass copy, but it's important as a copywriter, as a business owner, that you recognize where you're adding value. Are you making it better? Is this a worthwhile use of your time? Or are you just indulging yourself? Are you letting perfectionism burn hours? Are you just afraid to hit publish or hand it over? These are the questions you need to be able to ask yourself in the moment, not after an hour and a half, but when you recognize you are in that moment before you spend too much longer in it. So just to recap, when you are taking too long in this kind of editing mode and you feel stuck, you want to make sure from a systems point of view that you are setting the expectations that the first draft is not perfect. That will make it easier to hand it over and get feedback from the client. That will help you get unstuck. So set expectations in order to get unstuck a little bit later on. But also realize when it's time to stop. Are you just editing a word here and there? Are you changing a sentence and changing it back? Are you indulging yourself without making the copy better? If you are not making the copy better, stop. Put pens down. Take your fingers off the keyboard. Hand it over or hit publish. Recognize that you will go back and read your old copy and always have improvements because you are reading it with a more experienced eye. If you've done the prep, you've written with intention from the skills and the constructs you have, and you've done editing as well as you can, it's time to move forward. And when you get feedback from the client, you can then come back to the copy with fresh eyes and do even more editing with their changes in mind as well. All right, I hope that helps. I know a lot of writers get in this stuck space, and it's important to be able to get yourself unstuck so you can keep moving and so you can keep your writing business profitable. All right, I would love to know which of these tips you'll apply. Like, where did it land for you and how are you going to take action? Let me know in the comments.